Prisoners forced to give birth while handcuffed to male officers. Now, believe it or not, this has actually been happening. And that's why on this channel, I'm bringing you first-hand information about what happens in the prisons and breaches of process as well. Because there has been an investigation launched. And both of these incidents I'm going to be talking about in a minute happened from HMP Bronzefield. So what they're trying to say is, or what they're wanting to do, is that saying that female prisoners are pregnant. No need to say female, is that? There's not going to be many men pregnant, is there? So prisoners who are pregnant shouldn't be in prison. But not only should they not be in prison, or this is what some of them are saying, or this is what has been said. I will get into it in a minute. But this is what they are calling for, that prisoners who are pregnant should not be in prison unless it's exceptional circumstances. But not only that, they're putting pregnant women in prison and they're mistreating them. They're not giving them the treatment that they should be getting. There was a case a while back where a prisoner had actually give birth alone inside of the cell. The screw didn't answer the cell bell. When she pressed the emergency bell, the bell's buzzing in the office, the screws didn't bother to answer it, or not in the time they should have. And by the time they did answer it, she'd give birth by herself in the pad alone. So these two cases happened 2021 and 2023, where the prisoner had been taken to hospital from HMP Bronzefield, and whilst in hospital, during labour, on the hospital bed, still handcuffed to the male screw. Now imagine how humiliating and embarrassing that must be for the prisoner. Not only it should have been a female that she was with, a male screw standing watching this. I mean, it probably would have been, not probably, it would have been very uncomfortable and embarrassing for him as well. But he probably had no choice, because he was on shift when it happened. Because sometimes when they go into labour, they get rushed into hospital. They haven't got time to get a female screw, even though there will be plenty in the prison. But even still, my thoughts on this, right? If they haven't got time to get a female screw or somebody else to go to the hospital, they need prisoner officer escort to the hospital. I've been inside a labour room plenty of times myself, 4 times to be precise, with my wife when she was giving birth. Now, why can't that screw get a chair just like this, put it in front of the door, in the birth room, in the labour room, whatever you call it, and just sit at the doorway and let her give birth in privacy and pull a curtain on, because normally they've got curtains in it. If not, if it's just in a side room where they don't have curtains, he could have just been sat at the door on the chair while she has someone with her, a nurse, or maybe even, don't think they would have let a family member in, but she could have a nurse with her or another female member of staff, rather than having a male screw handcuffed to her. Not even on these, because obviously they've got the extended ones for where sometimes if they're in a hospital or whatever, they can go to the bathroom. But this was actually handcuffed. It wasn't even on the extended chain. And it does also go on to say, a lot of the times when these women are in hospital after they've given birth, obviously they need to get in the bath or the shower. My wife got in the bath once because obviously it's been traumatic for them. So they've got a bath in the birthing room. The wife or the woman gets in the bath after she's given birth, and she's still handcuffed to the screw. Handcuffed when she goes to the toilet. Being handcuffed sometimes, some of these women, when they've been getting vaginal examinations, and the screw is still handcuffed to them. So I will read a little bit out about this article here. And it says, at least 2 women were made to give birth while handcuffed between 2021 and 2023, according to an investigation. Both incidents occurred at HMP Bronzefield in Surrey. The women allege they were handcuffed sometimes during antenatal appointments, vaginal examinations and during labour, like I've just mentioned there. One female prisoner said she was restrained during antenatal appointments and for 48 hours while in labour, sometimes handcuffed to male staff. Being handcuffed without any privacy, including being chained to a male prison officer, made me feel humiliated and degraded. Yes, I had broke the law, but I was still a pregnant woman. I feel I was mistreated as less than an animal. This is obviously what she went on to say when the investigation was done. She added, my treatment during labour has had a lasting impact on me. No matter what I do, I feel as though I will never be able to move past this. The women are calling for an independent investigation into their treatment by the Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood. The Ministry of Justice policy rules that pregnant women must not be restrained while attending medical appointments. But yet it has been happening, and it has been done in this case when she went for an antenatal appointment. Escort chains, that's what I was looking for when I said extended. They're called escort chains, are permitted, if required, for women to have confidential interactions with health professionals, but they don't use them. Why not? One woman in HMP Bronzefield, speaking to Channel 4, said that she was doubled over, having contractions, sobbing to be released from the handcuffs. Obviously, when the screws are in the hospital, they're under strict orders. So it's not their choice whilst they're in the hospital. When these women are begging in the hospital, they cannot, or they will lose their job. So that's obviously why in the hospital. But if the orders were given beforehand, then fair enough. But obviously the screws are going to be feeling uncomfortable as well, because they're not allowed to do it or they'll lose their jobs. If I was a screw, I would just refuse to take them. Then you're not going to get into trouble, so you take someone else. Refuse it. Fair enough, you might. I wouldn't have thought they would have lost the job, but I wouldn't be taking a female prisoner to a hospital, handcuffed to her, knowing fine well she was going to give birth while she was handcuffed to her. Make something up. I've got the shits, I can't go. Right, she said she was handcuffed to an officer while showering, sleeping and using the toilet. Excuse me. She said by the time they took the handcuffs off, I was screaming, begging for an epidural, which I really didn't want. I feel like my birth was taken away from me. It was evil and it was awful, and I would like them to stop doing that to women. Co-director of the campaign group Level Up said the government must end the imprisonment of pregnant women. Cuffing was outlawed in 1996, yet prison officers still continue to abuse their power over vulnerable women. Several other countries have laws against imprisoning pregnant women and mothers, and England must urgently catch up. Sodexo Justice Services, the contracted management of HMP Bronzefield, said these are historical claims relating to the security arrangements surrounding pregnant prisoners whilst on escort outside of the prison. Well, it wasn't that long ago, was it? A couple of years ago. Is hardly historical. These claims are subject to ongoing legal proceedings, which means that we are unable to provide any specific comment on individual cases. So there we go. Ongoing legal cases. So it's ongoing. It's not something that you would class as historical. Because when they say historical, it sounds like you mean 10, 20 years ago or even longer. We take the safety and well-being of the women in our care and of the general public very seriously and have robust assurance systems in place to ensure that current practice is fully within the guidelines appropriate to these situations. A Ministry of Justice spokeswoman said the Lord Chancellor has launched the Women's Justice Board so that fewer women end up in prison, particularly those who are pregnant or mothers. Our policy is pregnant women should not be restrained unless a risk assessment has deemed it essential to do so, and we are looking into what has happened in these cases. Our policy is pregnant women should not be restrained unless a risk assessment has deemed it essential to do so, and we are looking into what has happened in these cases. Obviously, it's been abuse of the process, and it should have happened like that. But obviously, some of these women who are pregnant don't give a shit about their bins, about their babies that are inside of them. Some of them are taking drugs throughout the pregnancy and obviously still committing crimes. That's why they're in prison. But just because they don't give a shit and they're in prison and they're full of whatever doesn't mean they have to be treated like this at the pregnancy. Like I've mentioned, obviously some of these women would, if they got the chance, probably leap out the fucking bed to go and get a fix. Because some of them, I'll not use the term I was going to use, some of them don't deserve to be mothers. Obviously that's why they're in prison, but there is human rights where they shouldn't be forced to be handcuffed to a male prison officer while this is ongoing. Like I've said, put a chair at the door. A pregnant woman or someone who's just given birth isn't going to get past a male prison officer guarding the door. So why can't they do that instead of what they've done in these circumstances when they have belittled them and made them feel worthless by doing that? But I'll leave that open for discussion in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts, people. Let us know exactly what you think. And there will be women and people from these groups that are watching this. And I would like to know your thoughts. Again, everyone has got their own opinions. Some people will be saying things that other people won't agree with. But we've all got our own freedom of speech. As long as we keep it relatively calm within the comment section, people. I'm going to leave that one there for now. Hopefully you are still enjoying the content. And if you are, remember to comment, like and subscribe. Take care, everyone.